Hi, this is Charlie Evans, and I want to do a brief review of my Chancellor's Fellowship grant that I've had for the past 2 years. And so you can see that I'm hard at work at my computer there from the photo that I've taken. But now let me go through some of the things. The first thing I'd like to point out is that I do have a website devoted to the project, and on the website you'll see an introduction to the project. You'll see a timeline of the activities in my project, my proposed list of activities, and then what's I think most important is the month-by-month progress as I've gone through the grant over the past 2 years. I also have some specific sections as part of my grant where I focused on smartphones, iPads, MOOCs, and flipping a course. And if you look at any of those sections, you'll see links to literature on the subject, my comments on the subject, what I found useful, what I didn't find useful. Now, another part of my grant was the creation of two digital archival online resources using this free Omeka software. The first of those archival resources is called Historical Memory, and this is where I collect the papers that students write in my history courses, in which they place their families in the historical record of the last 60 years. In other words, the students try and figure out how what has happened in the past 60 years has actually affected their history. And so I've collected those papers into this archival database that all the students can then read them and see how history has affected different families. I also created a digital archive on Northern Virginia history, and as part of this digital archive, what I ask is that students contribute photos of the region, because the region is changing so fast. The last 20 years have witnessed an unbelievable transformation of our surroundings here. And so this digital history archive is an effort to kind of record what is taking place around us. And it gives the students an understanding of how quickly history is made and takes place. And so those were the two databases that I created. Also, as part of the grant, I've put together, I'm not sure the exact number, I know it's over 30, but 30 plus YouTube lectures, usually lectures that are 3 to 4 to 5, maybe up to 10 minutes long, dealing with specific subjects in my History 1112 and 1102 course. And so those are all part of a YouTube channel that students have access to as part of the course. Now, also as part of my grant, I've created a whole series of new assignments, because one of the things I tried to achieve in my grant was to create different kinds of assignments for students that weren't just read a book, write a paper, read a document, write a paper. And so as you see on the list here, I have 3 different kind of map assignments that I've created in the past as part of the grant. The Reston Historical Map Assignment, the harder St. Petersburg Map Assignment, and of course the simpler St. Petersburg Map Assignment. And then there's also several other assignments that I've worked on and created to give students assignments that went beyond a typical written paper. And so those would be the data visualization assignment, in which students work with a collection of data and then figure out a way to put that data in chart or visual form so it could be better interpreted. Another assignment is the online timeline, where students create an online timeline. And then I have an online exhibit where they create kind of an online website, or what I call an exhibit devoted to a specific historical topic. Okay, I'm back. I got to restart kind of my train of thought here. My cat decided to join me, and so I forgot where I was. What I wanted to finish with is the other thing I did with the grant was recast some of the assignments that I used in the course. And so one of the assignments that are recast or refocused was what I now call the deindustrialization assignment. Typically what I did before in the course was I had an industrialization assignment. Students read about the cost of industrialization, they read Hard Times, and then they had to write a paper. And so what I did here was I flipped it around. Instead of reading about industrialization, students are now working with deindustrialization. The process the United States has been going through in the past 30 years or so, when the heavy industrial infrastructure of the United States has decayed or is no longer in use, and students have to look at that and try and figure out what the social value, how to repurpose this previous industrial infrastructure and everything. It's a really cool assignment, and students do like it, the ones who undertake it in the course. The last thing I wanted to mention as part of the grant, when I retooled one of my online courses, my History 1-1-12 course this spring, with the new kinds of assignments, the videos, which I'll be doing when I teach on campus in the fall, I had a pretty substantial jump in student success in the course, roughly from 65 to 77% of the students were able to pass the course. And so I think that's kind of the long run payoff of giving the alternative assignments and the support in the course for students to be able to succeed with the course materials. Okay, thank you.